I was making a casual game, but now it's turning into a horror game instead. Why this sudden turn from a goofy, colorful and almost family-friendly game? Well, a couple of weeks ago I started questioning the whole project I was working on and asking myself, is this really something I would pick up and play for myself? I usually prefer dark and violent games, often with some shooting mechanic involved. So, once again I scrapped my game idea that I was currently working on, because this time I was going to make my dream game. Nevertheless, we are going to use the game mechanics from the old project regarding the play controller and the enemy AI. I knew I wanted to do something dark, moody and scary this time and picked a color palette to work with. Also some reference images for inspiration and ended up with these. The first one is a music video from the band Queens of the Stone Age, which has a really cool art style. The second one is maybe the most terrifying movie character of all times, the It clown Pennywise. And finally, I also like the gameplay to be somehow inspired of the Mad Max franchise. The first step was to come up with an art style for the game, and since I'm not the greatest when it comes to design, I wanted to go for something simplistic. I remember the video from a developer called Mrs. where he made a 3D scene with stylized flat colored graphics, and I decided I would try to go for a similar approach. By doing that, you don't need to worry about lighting and shadows. Okay, it's finally time to start working on the actual game. I started off by creating a temporary demo scene with a red skybox, a road piece and a simple texture I made in GIMP. Slapped it on the road piece, made a wall surrounding the road and some circus tents from an asset pack I bought a while ago. The next step was to make the new main character. In my previous game projects, the main characters either been animals or male characters. So it's about time for a female hero this time. To get something quickly up and running, I once again went to the Unity asset store and found this great free asset that looked very nice. I removed all the materials and replaced it to our own unlit shader material. My approach here was to use brighter colors to make her contrast to the dark surroundings. I think it looks kind of cool, similar to the reference pictures from the Queens of the Stone Age video. I do like the driving mechanics from the old game, so we are keeping the scooter for now. To be able to get some gameplay up and running as quickly as possible, I'm not going to animate our player at this point. But the shooting mechanic is something that we want to implement right away. And once again, I went to the asset store, grabbed a free model for the default weapon of choice, added it as a child object to the right hand, made it red, I like it. For the aiming we will use animation rigging by adding a rig builder to the player and then use a multi-aim constraint with the right upper arm and adding the mouse as a target object. By doing that we can now aim at the mouse pointer. I struggled way too long with the aiming directions, but eventually I got it working. The actual shooting is done by using the mouse input and a raycast to detect a hit when the mouse button is pressed. This was quite straightforward and not that hard to implement. But shooting without any feedback or effects isn't that fun, so I also added a muzzle flash, a sound effect, and also a line render effect. Not sure if it fits the style we're going for here, but for now it's fine. I recently bought a bunch of assets in a humble bundle and I remembered a really cool asset called Magica Cloth that I think can be a nice touch to make our main character come to life a little bit more without any animations. I implemented the asset to the bone structure of the hair and also to the dress. I also added a little bit of wind effect. I think this was a really nice addition. Okay, so we can drive and we can shoot, really cool. But we are missing something to shoot at. We need our first enemy, of course. Let's revisit our reference pictures. We need clowns.
Hello.
Clowns of the type not so family friendly. I found a suitable clown model that also included some animations. Not sure if we're going to keep them, but it will do for now. I then swapped the materials to fit our color scheme and gave it a kitchen knife. Since I had already built a simple enemy AI for my previous game, I decided to use that one with a little bit of tweaking, just to give the clown that sneaky feeling and a more chaotic and scary attack pattern. This is of course something that we will revisit and expand upon later. I remade the new enemy AI so that the clown can take one hit, then be stunned for half a second, but then continue the attack. In other words, you have to shoot him twice to kill him. I think that adds a little bit of scariness to it as well. The only obvious missing thing right now was the blood splatter effect. I added that and this is how it looks so far. I'm thinking that the next step is to add variations of the clown, like one type with guns and maybe one type that is also riding some kind of vehicle. Tell me what you think in the comments, but for now, happy Halloween!